What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam, and this is Vancity Audi. The name of the game today is 2 weeks no longer. UniFLEX from Unitronic is here and now. We've been waiting, I don't know how freaking long for this software, maybe 3 years now, but it is here. I've invited 2 different RS3s local to me that actually drag race with me at the drag strip. They're gonna put their cars in the dyno, and we're gonna ramp up the ethanol content to find out just how effective the UniFLEX software is. We're starting out the first car on a stage 1 UniFLEX file. We're gonna start out at a 91 octane level, straight pump gas right out of the gas station. Then we've brought with us E100 from Northside Petroleum, the only local ethanol provider that provides us E85 and E100. We're gonna dump that in the gas tank and slowly raise the ethanol content. E30, dyno test. E60, dyno test. And to finish it off, straight E85 and dyno test again. We're then gonna show you guys how it increases the power and the torque at the wheels on the dyno here at Racing Greed. This is a Mustang all-wheel drive dyno, but we will be showing you DynoJet calibrated numbers to give you guys a more accurate comparison on how this thing performs versus other DynoJets located around the world. It's not a perfect science, but it's the best we could do for you guys. We expect these cars to make massive horsepower and torque figures today because of the fact it is cold out and the density altitude is low. We are going to be at negative 200 to negative 400 DA throughout the entirety of the filming, and it is not going to get warmer than about 52 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that I've explained to you the scope of things, let's go over the first car in the dyno, and I'll introduce you to Mike.
Before we get to dyno testing, I'll quickly go over the install of the UniFLEX hardware. First, you'll have to remove the air intake. Once the air intake has been removed, you disconnect the engine to body connector, which is found behind the driver's side headlight. You'll then install the T connector in between them. Once that's done, you'll run the wiring along the hood release all the way from the driver's side to the passenger side. You'll then zip tie the wiring to the hood release cable to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. For this install, Kyle decided to use the fuel line located in front of the intake manifold. Once he got off the original connector that was located there, he replaced it with a couple quick connects and an ethanol sensor. Once it has been installed, you'll connect the additional shorter cable from the ethanol content sensor to the UniFLEX module. The wiring you've just run across the engine bay will connect into the other side of the UniFLEX module, and you'll need to find a secure place to attach it. Unitronic now sells brackets to hold the module in place, but at the time of the install, Kyle did not have any in stock. In the meantime, they agreed to simply secure it via a zip tie to the iRose Motorsport catch can. The install took roughly 20 minutes, and from there, you'd provide power to your car, download the new Uni E85 app, and test to make sure your phone connects to the new module via Bluetooth. If it does connect and it's a success, then tune your car with the new UniFLEX software and enjoy.
As I just mentioned, this is Mike, the owner of this amazing Stage 1 RS3. Thanks for joining me today, Mike. You want to go over the bolt-on parts that you have installed?
Yep, for sure. Pretty basic setup. I have a Unitronic intercooler, I have a Unitronic 4-inch intake, and turbo inlet.
And that's it for bolt-on parts?
That's it.
That's pretty incredible. Now, what did I see you do last year at the track, your personal best on the drag strip?
So on stage 193, I ran a 10.9 at 126.
Very cool. Now that you have UniFLEX, how long have you been waiting for this? Be honest.
Well longer than 2 weeks.
Let's see how we do. For the first run of the day in Mike's Stage 1 flex-tuned RS3, he made 428 wheel horsepower, 432 wheel torque. There are the graphs. As you can see, there's a lot of up and downs. That's simply the Haldex controller fighting to put power between the front and the rear tires. That's with straight Shell 91 coming in at 9% ethanol. Let's step up the ethanol content and see how much more power we can make. Now, it's a good thing I have never claimed to be perfect on this YouTube channel. I screwed up big time. The goal of today's video was to show you guys pump gas results, E30 results, E60 results, and E85 results. I dumped in too much E100 into Mike's RS3. It surpassed that E30. It shot all the way up to E50. I can't do math apparently. So the next run we're gonna show you guys is what it tests at E60. Then we'll dump more in, get it up to E85, and those will be your final numbers. Once we have his car done though, I will be more careful on the Stage 2 RS3 and make sure I get you regular pump gas, E30, E60, and E85 numbers. Now, as I just mentioned, I screwed up, so this difference is much greater than we would have seen at roughly an E30 content level, but at E61, we made gobs more power, 532 wheel horsepower, 491 wheel torque. The graphs are starting to look cleaner and cleaner, nice power curves, solid delivery. That was on the Stage 1 Flex Tune running E61. Time to step it up and get our final numbers on the highest ethanol content of the day. As you can see, there wasn't as much of a gain from the E61 to the E81 file as there was from straight pump gas to the E61 file, but still there was definitely a noticeable gain in horsepower and torque figures. Simply remarkable numbers for a Stage 1 RS3 tuned with UniFLEX from Unitronic. Well, now that we've seen what a beast Mike's Stage 1 car is, holy crap, that's a lot of power for a Stage 1 RS3. Malia's shown up with her black RS3. We'll introduce you to her and see how much a Stage 2 UniFLEX RS3 can make now. All right guys, this is Malia. She's been drag racing with me for a couple years now. She brought out her RS3. If you want to take a second to go over the bolt-on parts you have installed.
Yep, I have a RS3 4.5-inch intercooler, and I have a 4-inch Unitronic turbo inlet and a 4-inch intake. I have iRose downpipe and midpipe, and the Unitronic 980cc injectors.
Fantastic. And what did you accomplish last year? I know we were really close. We didn't quite get there, but what did you accomplish in the quarter mile?
My fastest run was a 10.03 at 135 miles per hour.
So damn close. Really excited to see what this thing makes for power. Thanks for coming out. The sun has decided to come out and play. One final piece of information I'd like to share with you guys on Malia's RS3. She's utilizing a Cyvex Haldex all-wheel drive controller. So the power delivery is going to look a little smoother than Mike's does. Now what we're gonna do for this video is we're gonna dial it down a bit so it's not so butter smooth. On Mike's car, he did not have that installed, so the up and downs on his dyno results were because his front to rear power is being delegated by that Haldex controller, fighting front rear, front rear. The Cyvex controller really smooths that out to the front and rear, so we're gonna dial it back so it looks closer to the way Mike's car operates. And here's Malia's first run using the Stage 2 UniFLEX software on straight Shell 93 pump gas, 464 wheel horsepower, 475 wheel torque. The graph does definitely look smoother than it did on Mike's car. Even though we turned down the Cyvex controller, it's still on slightly, so it's smoothing that out a bit. Now that we know what it does on pump gas, let's see what it does on E30.
For Malia's car, we got Renna, her husband, to do the blending of E100 into the gas tank. That way we wouldn't have me screwing it up again. And upon his first try, the first set of pulls took place at E33.
With Renna's help, we managed to properly see an E30 run in Malia's car. Unlike Mike's, we stepped it up to 513 wheel horsepower, 494 pound-feet of torque. Definitely a noticeable gain in torque and horsepower throughout the entire mid-range and higher up. Now that we have that out of the way, let's step it up to E60 and see what we can do. Third set of figures, and she made 536 wheel horsepower, 510 wheel torque, and even more of a gain all throughout the upper portion of the pull. Down low it is very similar, but up top is definitely where you see the difference on the additional ethanol. So we've now seen E60, E30, and the pump gas, which I think came in at about E9. Time to finish it off with as close to E85 as we can get. For the final run of the day, she made 89 wheel horsepower and 59 wheel torque with E85 versus pump gas. A massive, massive step up in terms of horsepower and torque. As you guys can clearly see, the solid line is E85 and the most perforated line is pump gas. Massive difference throughout and huge gains accomplished running ethanol versus straight pump gas. Now for the final graph, I'm going to show you the difference between the Stage 2 car and the Stage 1 car. With a difference of 10 wheel horsepower and 23 wheel torque, that is what we saw Stage 2 versus Stage 1, Malia's car versus Mike's car. The difference being is you can see the torque and the power figures all the way down from where we started the run all the way to red line being higher. It's not just the mid-range, it's not just the top end, it is all the way through the power band. You experience more power and more torque using a Stage 2 tune versus a Stage 1 tune. Pretty freaking cool. There you have it, guys. The results of a Stage 2 versus a Stage 1 RS3 running UniFLEX brand new software where you can run anything from 91 octane pump gas all the way up to E85. Thank you very, very much to both Malia and Mike for the usage of their cars. I've never highlighted flex tunes before on this channel. I have always just done the standard tune it and go depending on the octane of fuel you're supposed to be running. Just wanted to point something out that I have forgotten about, just so you guys know the difference between a Stage 1 and a Stage 2 tune. Stage 1 cars, you can run that software on a completely stock hardware vehicle. You don't need additional bolt-ons, but you will gain additional power. Stage 2 cars, you need to have an upgraded downpipe, and I highly, highly suggest you have a full bolt-on setup to make sure you accompany that downpipe to make the most power possible. On this platform, that would be an upgraded intercooler, an upgraded intake, an upgraded turbo inlet, and an upgraded downpipe. If you want to add extra little bits here and there, you can, but those are the primary power adders. Thank you very, very much for all of you for watching. Take care.